from the station working for you. This is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Unfortunately, too many of us and around the country have let our guards down. And that brings us to where we are today.
Taking a step back, now at 4:30, the plan to reinstate some COVID-19 restrictions as cases and hospitalizations continue to surge across the state. Plus, as college students begin to head home for the holidays, some campuses are already planning for the spring semester. This morning, how Purdue is hoping to keep students healthy when they return. And another Hoosier is heading to the White House. Details on the Indiana native President-elect Joe Biden has chosen to be his chief of staff. But before we get to those top stories today, I want to thank you for joining our team here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen has the day off, so we are greeted this morning by Kyle Mounts joining us on Good Morning Indiana. Kyle, it's good to see you. What can we expect in the forecast?
Yeah, well, Todd is getting to sleep through these colder temperatures, so I'm a little jealous. But yeah, we've got numbers that are running about 20 to 25 degrees colder than this time yesterday morning. Certainly, we felt the chill in the air yesterday, and that does put our numbers this morning in the 20s in Kokomo at 25 degrees. It's 33 in Indy, 34 degrees for you right now in Shelbyville. And we do have an area of some fog that's developed, and it's locally dense here around Lafayette to Monticello and Logansport. So especially north and northwestern communities, watch out for that. And with temperatures below freezing, not only will you have some visibility issues, but maybe some isolated slick spots out there this morning. We got a batch of a few clouds. Those will be scooting through northwestern communities here as we go through the morning, but most of us are going to enjoy a lot of sunshine today, but cool temperatures. 34 at 8 will get us to high temperatures later today in the lower to middle 50s.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Let's get a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this morning. This is our INDOT traffic camera on I-69 all the way up at State Road 38. You can see traffic here is still pretty quiet this morning. No major issues to slow you down. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated as we head throughout your Thursday.
Over the last 9 months, we have asked a lot from Hoosiers. We asked you to hunker down, and you did. And it made a difference. Unfortunately, too many of us and around the country have let our guards down. Stage 5 has been viewed by some as a reason to return to the days before we ever heard of the words COVID-19 or pandemic in a modern day sense.
Well, on a day that Indiana marks another record of new coronavirus cases, Governor Eric Holcomb announces Indiana will take a step back from Stage 5 on his Back on Track plan. During his weekly coronavirus briefing on Wednesday, Governor Holcomb said, while we continue to increase our testing, solidify our supplies of PPE, and have developed contact tracing programs, other metrics the state tracks are reaching or have already reached critical points. For example, the number of hospitalized COVID-19 patients is at an all-time high at 2,544. Holcomb also said that hospital officials believe that in some areas their patient numbers may double in several weeks. Also, the 7-day positivity rate is now standing at 10.3%. That's up 6% from the day Stage 5 was first announced. And take a look here on this map. All the counties in the state have now moved to moderate or high levels of community spread. For these reasons, State Health Commissioner Dr. Christina Bach says taking a step back is necessary.
We've doubled our cases every week for 4 weeks now, and we know that a certain percentage of those individuals, especially our elderly individuals, will end up in the hospital. And so consequently, if we turn this around now and decrease those cases, we still have that 10 days to 2 weeks of individuals that are still going to hit our hospital system. So yes, this is why we have to turn the tide now. This is why we need to make changes now.
So here's a look at those new changes. They take effect Sunday, November 15th. Counties in the orange will be limited to social gatherings of 50 people. Red counties limited at 25, and indoor special events must submit a plan to their local health department and receive approval before proceeding. The mask mandate also remains intact, and the governor announced $20 million will be made available to local cities, towns, and counties to help with compliance. According to the White House, coronavirus task force is keeping a close eye on what's happening here in Indiana Indiana and across the country. The situation here continues to worsen rapidly. Here's a few observations from its most recent report obtained by ABC News. They say Indiana is now in the red zone for cases. That means 101 or more new cases per 100,000 people. 99% of all Indiana counties have moderate or high levels of community transmission. The task force recommends, given the increase in cases and test positivity, additional measures should be taken to reinforce the message about limiting social gatherings and a new asymptomatic surveillance approach to limit community spread. At 4:35, as the semester is winding down for college students, some campuses are already looking ahead to the spring. Purdue University announced on Wednesday details of its Protect Purdue COVID-19 testing plan for students returning to campus this upcoming 2021 spring semester. So here's a few things that you need to know and what students need to know. All students must be tested for COVID-19 and be cleared for campus access before moving into residence halls, fraternity, sorority, and cooperative life houses, and also attending classes there. Students who are arriving from outside of the United States must self-quarantine for 14 days and coordinate with the Protect Purdue Health Center to schedule a COVID-19 test before they come to campus. Purdue says it will cover the costs of pre-arrival COVID-19 testing for students who are registered for in-person classes. An update this morning from Eli Lilly. It's the company that's ramping up production of its COVID-19 antibody drug that now has FDA emergency use authorization. 88,000 doses of this antibody drug have been shipped to a distributor who will work with the government to determine where the appropriate distribution to state and territory health departments based on COVID-19 rates. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says Illinois is getting the most vials this week, with more than 6,300 needed. The need is a little bit less here in Indiana, where we are expecting to get about 2,700 vials in the first week. Hoosier native has been chosen to be President-elect Joe Biden's White House Chief of Staff. Ron Klain has accepted the job, and a formal announcement is expected later today. The North Central High School grad served as Biden's Chief of Staff during the opening years of his vice presidency. He was also the White House Ebola response coordinator back in 2014 and has taken considerable interest in the response to the coronavirus pandemic. That's a central priority for the incoming Biden administration. President-elect Biden is also narrowing down the rest of his senior team of the West Wing advisors. Some announcements are possible before the end of the week, followed by others in the weeks to come. And cabinet announcements are likely in early December or early January. Meanwhile, President Trump's team is continuing their challenge of the election results, and Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill is joining in on that fight. Hill, along with 5 other attorneys general, filed a brief with the U.S. Supreme Court challenging a lower court decision that rewrote Pennsylvania's absentee ballot receipt deadline. The brief argues that under the Constitution, state legislatures must choose at the point at which states stop receiving absentee ballots and start counting votes, not state courts, as the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did. The number of ballots at issue could be between 10 and more than 53,000. But an overturn of the ruling is not likely to make a difference. President-elect Joe Biden leads Trump by nearly 50,000 votes in Pennsylvania as of now. That's a margin that the president cannot overcome. The dust is now beginning to settle following the grand jury's decision in the Drajon Reed shooting death investigation. Straight ahead, the steps the Indianapolis City County Council and other leaders are taking to help the community begin to heal. UPS is hoping to create a more inclusive work environment for employees. We'll tell you about the changes they're making coming up. Kyle.
And it's 4:38 here on your Thursday morning. Kids may need the jacket or certainly will need the coat this morning at the bus stop. You may need that ice scraper. A little bit of frost on the windshield. Temperatures starting off around 30 degrees. Will be to 52 with some sunshine as they get ready to head home. We'll talk about even cooler temperatures heading our way. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on WRTV.
Welcome back. The time right now is 4:41 here on your Thursday. Let's take a look at traffic out in Greenfield, Hancock County. Good morning to you. This is I-70, a view near the Greenfield rest area. You can see we do have one lane closed for construction. This is ongoing road work we've had in both directions of I-70 near this area. So just keep that in mind as you're traveling out the door this morning. Everything is still traveling up to speed. All members of the Indianapolis City County Council and other leaders here around the city are working to help the community community heal after many were upset following a grand jury's decision not to indict an IMPD officer in the shooting death of Drejon Reed. Bob Ossoly is the president of the City County Council, and he acknowledged that a lot of people are upset by the ruling. In a press conference Wednesday, he said the city will hold a series of virtual community conversations in hopes of creating a dialogue that will address their concerns and lead to a positive change.
Our plan right now is to hear from our community. That's what I said before. In the same way that we heard back in May and in June and in July of 2018, when we had our first series of community conversations. And we heard our community say to us, these are the things that begin to build trust. One, implicit bias training. Let us make sure that we do it. Posting of the general orders and the general orders themselves. We've taken action on those things. And we will continue to do those things so that we have that level of rebuilding of trust. I don't even know if the term rebuilding is correct. We are moving towards building a trust.
Ossoly there says that we'll learn more about these community conversations in the coming days. As Indianapolis continues to deal with a very violent year, one mother who lost her son to gun violence is hoping to provide support for other moms experiencing similar losses. Kathy Mann's son Trayvon was killed on the northeast side of Indianapolis in November of 2018. Each year she does a balloon release in honor of his birthday. This year, in addition to the release, Kathy is planning a gospel jubilee called Put the Guns Down, Mothers Are Tired of Crying. She's inviting other mothers and families who have been impacted by the more homicides this year and hopes to start a conversation about how to stop the violence.
How do we stop the violence? Where do we begin? Does it start at home? Does it start at school? Does it start in our communities? We have people that want to come and say things, want to come and tell the police, hey, I know who did this, I know who did that, but they're afraid, for their own lives.
Well, this event will be held at Hovey Street Church of Christ that begins at 12:45 Saturday afternoon. Face masks will be required and social distancing measures will also be in place. At 4:44, with the holiday season gearing up, the Indianapolis Zoo is asking for your vote to make this Christmas one for the record books. The zoo has once again been nominated for USA Today's 10 Best Zoo Lights list. This is their 6th straight nomination. With 3 top 5 finishes, the zoo hopes you'll help them make it to #1 this year. You can do that by voting for them once a day through December 7th. We have a link to do that on our website. The zoo's Christmas lights tradition goes back to 1967 when Christmas at the zoo was first at the zoo lights the first zoo lights in the nation. This year's event runs from November 21st through December 30th. The attraction will be closed Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. And WRTV is also getting ready for the holiday season, and we're hoping to put smiles in the faces of boys and girls all across central Indiana. Our 20th annual toy drive kicks off on Saturday at Christmas Nights of Lights at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. The holiday display is a drive-through experience. $1 for every ticket sold on Saturday will go towards the WRTV toy drive. All right, Kyle, it's starting to feel a little bit more like Christmas out there, the holiday season, and I did see some of that frost on some of the cars as I was driving through the neighborhood this morning.
Yeah, we've certainly changed seasons here in about the last 48 hours. It's a reality check for us, more like November across central Indiana. We got our temperatures down into the 20s for you right now in Greencastle, Lafayette, and Peru, all at 28 degrees. Pair of 3s on the thermometer in Indianapolis, and we've got 30 degrees for you in Richmond. Now, with that 33-degree temperature, it does feel a little bit colder downtown. Feels like 27. Breeze isn't crazy out there, but north at 7 miles per hour is enough to add to the chill in the air. Today, temperatures will be warming. We're just not going to see a real big warm up here. We're still only around 40 degrees as we get to mid-morning. Lunchtime temperature at 47, and we'll see those afternoon readings getting into the lower and middle 50s for us. So about where we should be here for the middle part of November at 53 in Indianapolis, 57 for you in the Columbus area, and 54 in Lafayette. Again, with a lot of sunshine, so it should feel pretty nice. We get a few of those clouds, though, that will be sneaking through as we go through the morning hours, then a little more sunshine. Then we may see a few more of those clouds here about 4 o'clock this evening, but again around Monticello, Kokomo, Peru. And those are also some of the areas this morning that are dealing with some of that low visibility with some of the thicker fog out there. We go into the overnight hours. We are going to increase the clouds, maybe a couple of sprinkles as the first of a series of fronts will be coming through. Not expecting much rainfall with that at all, but we will see that knock down temperatures again here for the end of the week. We're only in the 40s but sunshine is back on Friday. We get into rain chances though Saturday and Sunday, so not great timing here for the weekend. Around 50 for that high on Saturday. We'll get around 60 as we head into Sunday before another cold front slides through. So here's a look at TrueCast. This is 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. You can see that light rain overspreading the area, and even as we go right through at least the first half of our Sunday, we'll continue with those rain chances. Could see about a half an inch of rainfall here throughout the weekend. 7-day planning forecast, high temperatures 55 today. We'll be right around 50 degrees here as we go into Friday and Saturday, again with those rain chances here as we go through Sunday morning. Then that brings temperatures back down once again, so we get a little momentum with those temperatures and then we're knocked back down. We'll have highs of 48 degrees next Monday, 49 on Tuesday. After that, it looks like things do start to warm up a little better here. 56 on Wednesday and above average temperatures just beyond the 7-day forecast.
All right, Kyle, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out the door this morning. Here's I-69 up at Campus Parkway. Traffic on I-69 is traveling up to speed with northbound and southbound through Hamilton County. No delays to slow you down. And let's take a look on the northwest side. I-65 and 56th Street, our camera over there. Traffic here is traveling smoothly as well. I'm not monitoring any crashes or delays for your commute. Of course, we'll continue to monitor everything and keep you updated. Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to connect you to jobs and resources you need to get the career that you want, and one way we do that is through our job feed. So today WRTV is teaming up with the Indiana Black Expo for a job fair. The virtual Hiring Hoosiers Employment Opportunity Fair runs from noon to 4. Several companies are taking part, including FedEx, First Merchants Bank, Indianapolis Airport Authority, Lowe's, and more. You can find a link to sign up for this event. Just go to hiringhoosiers.com. Fox Uniform Incorporated out in Brownsburg is also hiring Hoosiers. The company needs a sewing machine operator. You would work on knit and woven garments. The pay is between $10 and $15 an hour, depending on your experience. And Phoenix Community Services is looking for direct support staff to work in Indianapolis, Anderson, and Muncie. The company provides support to people with developmental disabilities. Find even more employment opportunities through the job board. Just go to hiringhoosiers.com. You can also go to the Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page. At 4:49, UPS is doing its part to become more inclusive. The shipping company is giving employees more freedom when it comes to their personal appearances. For most employees, facial hair and some natural hairstyles like braids and afros were banned or highly regulated. Now the company has done away with those restrictions. Gender-specific regulations, including rules like the length of uniform shorts, are also gone. Advocates of the change say the move addresses a broader problem of unconscious bias that the rules reflected. AMC has officially launched its private theater rental program. Under it, the groups of up to 20 people can rent out an auditorium. Starting price for one showing is around $99. For the newer movies, the starting price jumps to $149. You must book in advance as no same-day bookings are being accepted at this time. Several Central Indiana AMC theaters are participating in this program. A Los Angeles artist's latest creation going viral now. Coming up, why he says these toys and ornaments are the perfect thing to gift your friends and loved ones this year. And another school district changing its plans as the coronavirus cases continue to increase. All new at 5 o'clock, what parents and students of Hamilton Southeastern students need to know about the schedule changes. It's 4:50. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It is 4:54 here on your Thursday. We're keeping a close eye on traffic right now. This is I-65 near Stop 11 Road down on the south side where things are traveling up to speed. A heads up to south side drivers if you normally travel along State Road 135 for your early morning commute. Until 6 a.m. we do have the southbound lanes closed after you head south of County Line Road. They're doing some bridge work right before Fry Road, so just keep that in mind if that's part of your commute. You can use US 31 or several other streets as detours just to get around that spot. A failed art restoration out in Spain is being called an epic fail. The 1923 statue of a smiling woman surrounded by livestock is part of a bank facade in Palencia. Instead of getting her broken face restored, she's been disfigured by a well-meaning but apparently incompetent artist. Look at that. It's being called the potato head of Palencia. No one's owned up to the work, and there's no word on who, if anyone, commissioned it. And a California artist is paying homage to the chaos that is the year 2020. He's selling these dumpster fire toys and Christmas tree ornaments on Etsy. His 3D printing company has struggled during the pandemic, so he decided to lean in. Every piece comes with a little note that reads, quote, "I thought this would be the best way to commemorate 2020. Hopefully it will bring you happiness and laughter." And Etsy customers say that it has. That is pretty funny, Kyle.
Yeah, it sums it up.
Really,
well.
Truly it does.
Doesn't it? But who would have ever thought, you know, for an ornament, you'd be hanging a dumpster?
You got to get a commemorative ornament for the year, and that was appropriate.
Maybe not exactly a Hallmark ornament,
right.
but it says the same. All right, as we check out your forecast for this morning, well, you may need that eye scraper. Check out this from WRTV photojournalist Shay Goodpaster in Rush County. Some pretty thick frost on the windshield this morning, so you'll need to let that defrost or maybe just scrape it off a little bit this morning. But it will thaw on its own if maybe you get out there a little later this morning. We've got temperatures that will make their way into the middle 50s. Lots of sunshine coming our way today, and that temperature trend over the next several days, we're either near that average in the mid 50s or a little bit cooler. We've got some rain in the weekend forecast. We'll detail that as we take you through the next 7 days coming up. You're watching WRTV. Good morning, Indiana.